Welcome to Tigers Untapped, a Bluff City Media podcast. Stepping up to the microphones are your hosts, Trey and TJ Willis. Pull up your chair, grab your favorite brew, and enjoy the conversation. Now, let's get to the show.
What up? We're back, episode 30, Tigers Untapped, brought to you by Hoop City Basketball. If you got a youngster in the city, ages 5 to 9, boys or girls, they got summer camps all summer long. We'll have contests, skills, games, expert instruction. I think they've had a couple Grizzlies stop by camp. So if you got a young one, sign them up at bluffcitymedia.co/hoopcity. We'll get you $95 off registration fee. You sign up a team of 10, that's like a G off. Get them signed up. TJ, what is up, my man? Back for the big 3-0. That feels like a milestone.
You know, you were just talking about signing up 10 kids.
Yeah.
If you have 10 kids,
I just meant like if you were the coach of a team somewhere, you could sign the team up.
I'm maxed out at 2.
Oh.
Are y'all done?
Yeah.
Did you get
No. We're going to do that together, my man.
us?
Yeah.
Are y'all going to hold hands?
I got a hookup.
No, you don't hold hands. I think we're asleep, aren't we? No, it's outpatient. It's outpatient.
It's definitely outpatient. I've had it. I had
I
the snip.
Was it bad? I need to know.
Listen.
All right, never mind. It sucks. We're not doing
No,
it.
let me just tell you.
You know what you're supposed to do? You schedule it the week of
College football started or
well,
something?
you could do that, but either the Masters
Yeah.
or the first week of the NCAA tournament, take those 2 days off. You're stuck up on the couch with a bag of ice. At least, I don't know, Kenny, you're more experienced in this.
It depends on. I was up within with about a day. Like you could be back. You could be back in the fold, back in the action.
Cut that because TJ and I we're going to use this to our
advantage. But you could absolutely use it to your advantage.
My best friend just graduated from urology school, so I got the connect. It may be at home for me. I may just have him come over to the house.
No, man.
For free. You just use a butter knife and general anesthesia, and I'm done.
It's definitely a little bit uncomfortable. I'll tell you off air when it was the most uncomfortable.
We'll cross that road when we get there. But TJ, satisfied with 2, huh?
Yeah, man.
Good weekend?
Yeah, I just want to sleep a little bit more, and I think it's going to be accomplished best with 2.
Well, hey, more power to you here recording at 10 o'clock tonight.
It's easy for me to record. It's my wife who's unfortunately suffering here, so bless her.
All right, Tej, what do we big wheels keep on turning. Proud Mary keep on burning.
This is Soul
Rollin'.
and Spirits. Proud Mary.
Rolling.
It's a session idea.
TJ, take it. Rolling on the river. Proud Mary, for those of you at home that didn't know what we were singing there.
It's a rolling river ale.
A little hazy IPA action.
Yeah, man.
Big fan right off the bat. Finally got ourselves a pint for those of you drinking at home. Those 12-ounces just don't last the full episode.
They really don't.
It makes it tough, you know? And these, strangely enough, are about the same size as Kenny's fridge back here. I don't know that we could get both of these in there.
Probably not.
No, definitely not.
And it would probably take all week for them to cool down.
Yeah, we'd have had to put those in the 1st of June to get those right for tonight. All right, Tej. Big news. Well, I would say that it's big news. For those of you that have been a fan of the show or in the Discord, you know that TJ has changed his name to Wet Blanket. I was excited about it. TJ has a different take, but we talked a little bit about conference realignment. That's probably what we're going to talk about a lot today because there's been a little bit of movement in that area since we last spoke. But I think it came out Thursday afternoon, evening. College AD on Twitter, they're a sports publication. Some have told me that College AD on Twitter is actually R.C. Johnson. That's what he started doing in his retirement. I don't know if that's factual, but we'll have to look into that. But they reported that Brett Yormick and a squad of Big 12 folks had come into Memphis for a campus visit and a due diligence visit about Memphis joining the Big 12. And I'll just say right off the bat, we've never gotten to that point, ever.
Yeah.
A lot of folks on Twitter are talking about they don't know of a time a campus visit has taken place and an invitation was not extended after that. I know that it's come out. I guess Yormark did visit UConn a couple of weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago. Obviously, no invitation has come of that yet. But to me, that's a step in the right direction, and it's further along in the process than we've ever gotten before.
Sure.
Now, there was a little back and forth whether or not that actually happened. College AD reported it. It came out like wildfire in Memphis. People started retweeting it. Calkins, a couple others. Gabe over there at 92.9, our buddy here at Bluff City Media, was talking about it. And then he had Dennis Dodd on Friday. And Dennis didn't give a whole lot of explanation, just pretty much straight up said, yeah, that didn't happen. What do you think about that?
With that, I think it's all semantics for the most part. Like if you read the comments that are being made, it's a lot of it. They're going back and forth and just saying, "I wasn't on campus."
Yeah.
Like, did you guys meet at the Mo's?
Yeah. So
what are you talking about?
He came on Gabe and didn't give a whole lot of detail.
Yeah.
Right. Just kind of, and I think it took me off guard. It certainly sounded like it took caught Gabe off guard
For sure.
Calkins then came on immediately after and was like, no, yeah, it happened. He was here. I know that it happened. I've checked with multiple sources. And it's kind of gone back and forth over the weekend. Dennis Dodd came back out, tweeted Brett Yormark was not on Memphis's campus with a delegation to assess Big 12 worthiness. That came directly to me from Brett Yormark. And then Calkins basically had his tweet, I've checked, it happened. He was here. It's increasingly obvious that people did not want this to come out for one way or the other.
Sure.
And I don't guess I understand why it's like, why are you trying to hide it? What do you think that's all about?
You could go a couple of different ways with that.
And is it the Big 12 hiding it, or is
Well,
that coming from somewhere else?
I think it's safe to say that it's not the Big 12 wanting to hide it. Because think about who published, like who put out the tweet. College AD.
Right.
Who the hell is College AD?
Some national publication.
If Memphis had it, if Memphis was the one that wanted this to get out, why was Calkins not writing about it? You would tell
It'd
Calkins.
come out from the Memphis side or somebody from
Exactly.
Right.
You would tell one of these notable Memphians.
Sure.
And they would get the piece.
Sure.
You can control what's being said because you feed that information to them. This just came out from before that tweet, I've never heard of College AD. They've got 25 some odd thousand followers.
I mean,
on
they're
Twitter.
a legit publication, and they have since come back out and reaffirmed their position that it happened. I mean, they released another tweet on Friday after all of this and basically said, like, we are confirming our report earlier that Brett Yormark. And I mean, you mentioned semantics. It was, at least to me, like, the statements that he's made are very clear. I think it was Pete Thamel that tweeted one out.
Yeah.
That said, I have not met with anyone at Memphis about Big 12 membership, and I have never been on campus. Well, it's like, okay, but you didn't come out and say, I was not in Memphis this weekend.
Exactly.
Or yesterday.
Exactly.
I've never spoken to people that are tied to Memphis. You just said at Memphis and on campus. Like, well, Simmons Bank is not on campus. The FedEx Forum is not on campus. The Peabody is not, wherever the meeting happened. Like,
sure.
Yeah, okay, you didn't go to campus, but you also didn't shut down that you were in Memphis. And you didn't come out and say something so direct as Memphis is not under consideration. Or he could have killed it right there.
Absolutely.
Altogether. And he didn't do that.
And Memphis could have killed it.
Right.
Memphis hasn't come out and said nothing. They haven't said,
Right.
we didn't meet with any. Well, I mean, like, no statement has been made where it's shut it down.
Well,
completely.
it was 24 hours or more, right? And
Yeah.
if it's not true, at least from Memphis's perspective, you would think that somebody would have come out and be like, well,
I guess the
let's
mayor.
not let.
The mayor was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
But his response was to a meeting on campus, and he said, I don't know about a campus meeting.
Yeah.
So that semantics again. Did
Yeah.
he? Well, if a meeting on campus didn't happen, he answered your question. He doesn't know about a meeting at the campus.
Yeah, it's very specific what's being said. And sometimes it's not what you say, it's what you don't say. And it's the little things that they're leaving out when they make these little statements, I think, that play a hand in it.
So do you take anything from him saying, I've never met with anyone at Memphis? Do you think that in of itself is like city leaders? And then, I mean, it's been out there before. It was out there in 2016, FedEx. There was a discussion around them being the sponsor for the Big 12 title game. Is that Yormark was here and meeting with FedEx and city leaders in a location off of campus to see what kind of things that we could bring to the table as a community being in the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how I would take that, honestly. I would imagine someone from FedEx, you could even tell me that the mayor could have been there. All of these people that know the plans of FedEx Forum, that know the how much money is going to the forum, how much money is going to Simmons Bank. This is what we plan to do. Here are the blueprints. Like, obviously, you can go over the same PowerPoint that's already been out, like the same diagrams, but you can dive so much deeper. Because I think it was on Twitter, I said something about, like, if someone came, just shoot them a blueprint if you're just going to talk about the stadium enhancements. So
100%.
obviously something else was talked
And some
about.
people had thrown that out there, was like, they've got the tie-in with the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Maybe they were here. And it's like, why? If
They've
that was
been
the
here
case,
every year.
then Yormark would have just said, it had nothing to do with the University of Memphis. We were here talking about the AutoZone Liberty Bowl.
Yeah, it was obviously more
Yeah.
than that. Like, could that? I don't even know if it was centered around the enhancements being made to the Liberty Bowl, Simmons Bank, Liberty Stadium. Like, we have no clue, right?
Yeah.
You're here for one game a year. It seems kind of silly. That they
Yeah,
would
that's
come in
to
here.
your point. That's send an email over and be like, hey, these are the improvements
Exactly.
we're making. Like, dang, that looks
It
great.
had to be
Can't
something way
wait.
more than that.
Yeah.
But the whom, no clue. Why it was kept a secret? Maybe that's because of the whom.
And to that point, I will say, if you listened to Calkins immediately after Dennis was on Gabe's show on Friday, he alluded to the possibility of the secrecy being because Fred could be involved. And he used the example of the showboats. A few months ago, there was a press conference, football related, and there was secrecy around it. Like, everybody assumed that it was about the showboats, right, and kicking the season off.
Yeah.
But like, it didn't come out, and it wasn't directly stated like this is a showboats press conference. And ultimately, what Jeff was saying is, like, he asked around and asked why that was the case, and the answer was Fred is involved, and Fred wanted it to be kept under wraps.
Sure.
So it's like, to your point, is it the Big 12 that's trying to hide it, or is it Fred was in the conversation? He was like, and Jeff talked about this today, if you guys were listening on the radio, but, in 16, we mentioned the FedEx being involved, being a Big 12 title sponsor, and then nothing came of it.
Yeah.
So is he like, I don't want this getting out there if nothing happens, because last time it got out, we were embarrassed.
Sure.
The city was embarrassed. Like, nothing came of it. And everybody's talking about Memphis trying to buy their way in, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, maybe it is from our side that they're trying to keep things quiet. And then that would explain also why Mayor Strickland was Stonewall Jackson about the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't know how much the buying yourself in thing really, like.
I mean, Houston is there because they bought themselves.
Yeah, like, who isn't buying themselves in
Yeah, I
some
don't
form
care.
or fashion?
Ain't too proud to beg. Like, Big 12, let's go. What's this check you need?
Don't get me wrong. I want Memphis to go to a bigger conference.
Oh, I'm going to get you wrong because I know that you don't. in
No, I
speaking with
do.
you.
I'm just tired of effing around with the Big 12. They keep dangling this carrot in front of us, and we keep trying to reach out and grab it, and they're never going to let us in.
Grab it.
They're not going to let you grab it.
Well, they're here meeting with us.
If Fred says, hey, come meet me, you go meet him.
Why? What is that?
is one
Yeah,
of the,
you and I, we work there.
No. Because that's bad business. If Brett Yormark's like, no, Fred, we're good. That's terrible for business. Terrible for business. FedEx would never sponsor another thing for them. I don't know if they're sponsoring anything now, but that's a sure as hell way of getting your way never in FedEx's favor. Right? Hey, we just come meet with me. Just come talk to me.
Well,
Let's go eat
Memphis
Central
isn't in,
Barbecue
they don't-
Wings.
They don't get FedEx anyway. They don't, TJ. Or FedEx would already be there.
I'm just saying. I want Memphis to be in a big conference. I'm not sure I want Big 12 because I'm tired of them.
So what big conference is left?
Give me the ACC leftovers.
They're about to blow up. Who's going to be in the leftovers?
Well, it doesn't matter as long as we make more than that 8. I don't even know the number. 8 million a year.
Yeah, it's like 7 to 8.
Yeah, whatever that is. You know what they're making in the Big 12? Like 40 something million.
Well, this year
That is absurd.
it's going to. The projection is upwards of 50 based on playoffs and everything, bowl game time.
Then also, who else is in that conference?
In what conference?
Like that is that still with OU and Texas or without?
No, that's the new deal.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the projection for the. Yes, currently they are getting like 44. The new deal starting in 25 is estimated. I think it's 38 or something.
Sure.
Without the money from
OU
playoff and bowl game, whatever tie-in, advancing. And we've talked about this before. You've mentioned it. The prorated clause that's in there about adding a G5 team. So I know TJ is very pessimistic about Memphis being included in this.
Pessimistic is probably a good word for it, but not on purpose. It's just because I know what's all on the table, what all the teams are on the table, who they're talking to.
What all teams are on the table? Throw them at me.
You get the 4 corner schools. So
Okay.
Arizona. We'll just do this. Arizona. We'll toss in Arizona State. Colorado is on there.
And Utah are the
And
4 corner.
Yes. And then what they end up doing with that, I don't know. They obviously want Colorado to come back. They're not too far removed from the Big 12. I don't know how much, 7 years, 10 years. What is
I
it?
think it was 2011 they left.
Yeah. Okay, a little over 10 years. They can come back. That's the easy transition. You bring them back. You get prime. Whatever that means. He's probably not going to be there long, but you still get him back. At Arizona, if you are Brett Yormark,
What does Colorado bring them?
it's a Denver market. Just
Is
another
it?
big market.
Are people in Denver watching a 1-11 football team?
It depends. I mean, it's not who's watching necessarily. I think they base it off the Nielsen, and it's the possibility of how many could be watching, right?
No, it shouldn't be.
Oh, I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules.
I get it.
Look at the markets, man. Look at Nielsen ratings. I wish I had that list pulled up in front of me. I sure don't.
Please pull up your Wikipedia. Anybody can post anything data article from Medium. TJ and I we were almost in a physical
We almost
altercation
fist fought
before
earlier.
this recording started.
But you also have the 4 corner schools. We talked about that. UConn, San Diego State,
No.
and then Memphis.
No.
What do you mean no?
San Diego State is not before us.
In what?
The list of teams that they're looking at.
I'm gonna.
If
beg to
Colorado
differ.
leaves the Pac-12, San Diego State fills in Colorado.
I don't
That's
know
the
that to be
scenario.
true.
That's the scenario.
No, I don't know that to be
That's
true.
the scenario.
Why?
What is UConn? And if you say the Hartford market, I'm going to flip out. What does UConn offer besides the Hartford market?
Brett Yormark has come out and said he wants both football and basketball.
Okay.
And
well,
I'm
their
going off his
football
words.
is
Let it-
doo-doo brown.
Let it be known, I'm going off his words. His words. These
Okay.
are not my thoughts and opinions. His words.
Okay.
He wants a coast-to-coast conference. He's
Okay.
talked about splitting football, getting a grant of rights for football and a grant of rights for basketball separately,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So bring over both for UConn. That basketball instantly makes your conference so much better. It's already arguably the best conference, maybe number 2, depending on who you ask, behind the SEC in terms of overall strength. But you add UConn to that, you're probably the best. You've got Kansas and UConn.
Okay.
And then you're talking about potentially also adding San Diego State. It's a pretty good team. I don't know if you watched March Madness. They're pretty good. So
They made a run.
adding Memphis, that also helps. You get the penny effect. That also helps. So all these things are checking the right boxes. His whole mindset seems to be that he believes football, that the SEC and the Big Ten are basically going to try to split away from everything else. They're going to try to create their own super league of football. Hey, we got the biggest and the best in football.
The Power 2, people keep referring.
Yes, they're going to try the biggest and best in football. And although basketball is sub to that, basketball is definitely not as popular. It's not as lucrative as football. It's still important. And if you try to say that we are going to create a national championship for football, but our basketball teams are just going to stay behind, is that what you're saying? Like, did basketball go? You're going to have Big Ten and SEC basketball go over into their own Power 2 conference? Are they going to be this national championship of 20 teams? What is the number? What are they at? Both 16 each?
Yeah, 32.
Yeah, so 32 teams. That's going to be your national championship? No. You can't have a national championship without UConn playing, without potentially Arizona playing, without Kansas playing, without Baylor, Kansas State. Like, these are all great teams that have made serious runs lately. So, like, how can you say, oh, we're just going to shit on basketball and basketball doesn't matter? Basketball does matter. It just doesn't matter as much. And I think this dude is just so wild that he's thinking head and shoulders above everybody else. And he says, if I just grab dibs on all the best basketball teams, you can't effing forget about me. And that Big 12 is going to matter.
So I get that he's got a basketball itch he wants to scratch. But football's the driver.
I agree.
College basketball is a very small niche market. So how adding Memphis scratches that basketball itch? It does. TJ, it does.
Arizona or Memphis? More established program. Who does more for you right now?
We're not even.
I'm just asking the question. Stop. The fact that you're having, even as Memphis fans, you have to know that Arizona is the better program. UConn or Memphis?
Maybe
UConn or Memphis for basketball?
UConn. But you're not you add Memphis, it scratches your basketball itch without sacrificing the football side of things, which is the driver and the moneymaker. No?
Sure. The football is better at Memphis than it is UConn. I think they were on their deathbed.
And so is football at Memphis better than Arizona. But I don't know how Arizona got brought into this. We weren't even talking about it.
I'm just naming the other schools that are in this conversation.
Okay.
But what did San Diego State do last year? They're not hurting too bad. They got the backing of
San Diego State is not going to the Big 12. They would be in the Pac-12 if anything.
I don't know that to be true. That's a big market.
How does
That's
Colorado check any of the boxes? Coast to coast basketball.
It's the Denver market. That's the whole thing. They are saying, "Hey, you've been here before. We want that."
You're
Denver
all
market
over
back.
the place.
They want the Denver market back. Everything is based off market. I think that's obvious, right? They just pulled in Houston. That's 1 billion TVs. They're going to pull in Denver. That's 1 billion TVs.
TJ doesn't think that Memphis adds anything.
It's not
Big
that.
12.
It's
You said it before we started. Houston market is what? Top 7 in the nation?
Yes.
But who gives a rat's arse if they have 5 million TV sets and 100,000 of them watch Houston sports?
I don't make the Nielsen ratings. I don't make these things up. That's what professionals look at for ratings.
I don't understand. If you look,
You're thinking
Memphis-
way too logically with this.
Memphis is consistently, as a market, rated in the top 10 of collegiate football and basketball ratings. Right? We're like 52nd overall as a national
Something like
market.
that, yeah.
But if you look at the people that are watching these sporting events, Memphis is up there. Last year, or I think it was over the last 5 years, ESPN had an article that came out in December. Their primetime slotted game, they listed out the top 10 cities that watch those football games. Memphis was 8th on the list. And Memphis, the Tigers didn't play in any of those. But my point is, if they are, the Big 12 is getting those eyeballs on those games. And if Memphis' schedule includes the likes of Texas Tech and Baylor and Oklahoma State, that's all eyeballs that the Big 12 gets and revenue that they're getting from adding us.
I agree.
A market that consistently ranks in the top 10 of the 2 major sports that they want. I don't care how many total TV sets there are. If people don't watch those sports now, they're not all of a sudden going to start watching them.
But you're basing that off of this one metric that someone is saying in the past 5 years, this town has had a X number of people watching college football or basketball, right? It's not specifically your team. It's just any team in general, right? They could be watching Georgia. They could be watching Hawaii. They could be anyone.
Yeah, but they're watching football, not Dancing with the Stars.
Great show.
Like the other 4 million
Seems like a personal
TVs.
attack. I love that show.
I don't know that you. I thought you were a big Bachelor guy.
It is Bachelor, yeah. But no, Nielsen rankings is where it's at. It's where everything is based off of. Why? Head and shoulders above me. I don't know why people love that. I guess it's just the max number of TVs you can watch. And why I say other San Diego State and UConn have a better chance than Memphis. We're looking at number 27 on the list, San Diego market, 1.1 million. UConn gets the Hartford market. That's the closest biggest town. That's 1 million. And then Memphis is way down the list at 620,000. You can't say that doesn't matter.
Does that not include West Memphis and North Mississippi?
They are probably included in the Memphis market.
Jackson.
Memphis is a weird
Jackson.
situation where we are,
you putting Jackson,
the
Tennessee
big
in there?
city. Can't tell you, man.
So you got to encompass all that's around.
I don't make this up. You go by the largest city near that college town. Memphis, UCF, Cincinnati, Houston, all of those are in big cities, so they catch their main city market. San Diego State in San Diego. UConn is in Stores, but guess what's 10, 15 miles away? Hartford, New Haven. That's the market they get. I don't make these things up. I don't get that power. They have larger enrollments. They have, looking at last year, UConn had more people watching their games. San Diego State had more people watching their games than Memphis. All of this stuff matters.
Which, are you talking about football games?
Yes, this is football. All that stuff matters. It's all money. It's all money. The wins on the field only matter so much.
I agree with you.
And that's why everyone says UConn. Why the hell would you add UConn? Their football team sucks. It doesn't matter. They don't want UConn. They want Hartford. They want a team on the East Coast because they're already trying to grab someone on the West Coast. Now, the issue when all this goes down
And
is
we're on the Mississippi River coast.
not a coast. Not a coast. The one thing I think Memphis has going for itself is I think it's better centrally located than any of those things.
You get a footprint right in the SEC's
They
backyard.
already have that, though, technically.
With who?
The state of Texas. They are in Florida. They already have the SEC market thing, so I don't know how much that plays into.
They're on the border of the SEC in those places. You're in the heartland.
Like, you pick Memphis, you don't have an extreme. Like, West Virginia is only so far. I mean, it's not very close, but at least you're centrally located.
Memphis bridges your coast.
What?
All right. There's a bridge to the coast.
Oh.
You're 3.5 hours from anywhere in the country.
Well,
We have a beautiful airport. That new terminal is gorgeous.
it is nice.
RC would be proud of that. All right. In your mind, since you think all these we're option 276,
Ish.
which I don't know why they would be visiting option 276.
Because Fred told them to. We went over this.
What is a scenario in your mind that Memphis gets an invitation?
Man, I think Colorado's a lock. I think that they are trying to pull Colorado in just to get that market. They've been there before. They have a previous relationship. Colorado has nothing in they have no business being in the Pac-12. I don't even know why.
I don't know that they are a lock, but go ahead.
I think there's a lot of situations. Obviously, they want Colorado and Arizona to go most, right? I think because of the grant rights, we talked about that.
Right. I haven't heard a whole lot about Arizona State and Utah. It's all Colorado. Really, it's all Colorado at this
It's Colorado, and Arizona's the other big one they're pushing for.
I mean, they're mentioning it, but I've told you a couple. I mean, the Arizona president came out last week and said his expectation basically is he thinks that the Pac-12 is staying together.
That's what you should say. I think as a smart man, you should.
Why
say
not just
that.
come out and say we're going to, I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to do what's best for us.
I think a lot of that is politics probably playing at hand too, because some schools just stick together. Arizona State, Arizona seems like they're going to stick together. No matter where one goes, I think the other's probably going to go. So it makes me think that Arizona's probably not going to take the jump, which leaves one opening because I obviously think that Colorado's going. And if they're trying to get to 16, I don't know how they're going to make that work because I don't think you take Colorado, San Diego State, Memphis, and UConn. Like we just talked about, the grant of rights, if you add a G5, it starts, not adding any revenue, you're just adding people to split that revenue and cut it down and water it down and dilute it.
So I
if you're
do want to
taking
talk
three
about
new
that
ones, that's bananas.
a little bit because you're referring to the pro rata clause,
Yes.
which So the new deal for the Big 12 is split amongst ESPN and Fox. ESPN has roughly 63% of the funding for that new deal. Fox is the other 37. The pro rata clause was only agreed to by ESPN. So that's not a full, you add a Power 5 school and the entire pot is growing. Yes, 63% of it is growing from ESPN's side. But I'm also curious as to when that clause takes effect, because the new deal doesn't go into effect until 2025. So Houston, UCF, Cincy, BYU, they're getting a portion of the revenue for their first 2 years in the conference. So when does that clause actually, is it, to me, that's something that doesn't take an effect until the new deal has started. If you add a team after the deal has started, we're not renegotiating numbers.
Sure.
So is there a possibility that if this happens fast enough, in which I think that it is going to, I mean, I'm thinking we are going to hear something
At the end of this month.
before the end of the summer.
Yeah, I'd say as early
if you
as
add
July.
4 teams this year, or extend the invitations this summer for them to join as quick as next year before the new deal takes place, does that give you time, or is there an ability to renegotiate the contract that you're under to say, hey, we've added these teams? What does that do for you guys?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think it's going to be a situation where they want to try to get this solidified, get all their teams in a row, and say, this is who we got, and then we'll just see what happens. Because I think if you add it after, I don't think that's changing anything, right?
I don't think that it would.
So in terms of Memphis's case, I think your best bet is Colorado says yes, Arizona says no, and then you get into a fist-fighting match between San Diego State, UConn, and Memphis.
So I could see a couple different scenarios. I think that they are increasing in size no matter what happens. Right?
But which number?
Right. It's how many are they going to invite and who exactly. I think minimum they're taking 4 teams. They want to get to 16 at a minimum. I mean, the more markets you have, you've talked about it, money-wise, like
Yes.
the more, especially if they're able to renegotiate before the deal starts. If you get these teams in next summer in 24, you have a year to work out contract negotiations to kind of re-solidify those numbers to go into 25. I mean, the more teams you have, the larger pie that you're going to have. I think there's a couple different scenarios. So it's come out, the Pac-12 is obviously renegotiating their contract for their teams. The hope for them, for most of those teams, is that they have a good enough deal to keep the conference together.
Sure.
And then maybe they extend an invitation to SMU, San Diego State, whoever. They add a couple schools. To your point, say Colorado jumps ship and brings Arizona with them. I still think, based on what we've heard and my assumption of what Memphis brings, not assumption, my knowledge of what Memphis brings to the table, that even if it's Arizona and Colorado that Memphis is in, I think they add 4, and I think it's you and UConn at that point.
Yeah, if you can get that's the problem is I don't know how dead set they are to get into 16. Because if you can add in Colorado and Arizona, you've already won. Why add anything else in to dilute that revenue?
I don't know that it's necessarily diluting it.
It is, depending on who you're getting. I mean, we just talked about the Memphis market was a mile down that list of number of TVs. You don't have the enrollment that compares to the other schools. You just don't physically compare to them, especially if you're taking it from the basketball side of things. If you're up against UConn or San Diego State, like they have better resumes. They just do. So I don't know what Memphis is in that comparison. Like, why are you making that face?
You're so negative.
I'm being honest here. You think this is fun for me to say?
I do. I think you have
think
fun
I
with
enjoy
it.
saying Memphis is at the bottom of
You're
this
smiling.
list?
I think you're having fun.
Because this is outlandish. Yeah, I'm just following numbers here. It doesn't look good for Memphis, and I'm tired of the Big 12 just teasing us.
I will say this. I'm as
us.
hopeful as I have ever been. Again, we've never
No,
made it
you're
this.
not.
I
No, you're
am.
not.
All we need
More
is
than 2016.
Yeah.
No.
2016, we weren't even included in the top.
Was it not 2016? Whatever it was, where they were like, I don't even remember who. All these teams like tell us why you get it.
Yeah, and then
Memphis was already on the list. They didn't even need to prove anything. They were already on the list.
And then they came out with the adjusted list and said, "Hey, we met with these teams. These are the top 10." And Rice and freaking Toledo were on the list. And Memphis, what? Toledo wasn't, but I know Rice was on the list.
Rice was definitely on the list,
and we weren't anymore. You know how gut wrenching that was.
Yeah, because we were. I was so confident
that you thought we were a lock already.
Yes, 100%.
No, I took it the other way. Like, what the hell's going on?
I was like, they're not even putting us on this list because we don't need to be on the list. We're already there. We're an understood team. I feel not good about this at all.
Do you remember back then when that graphic came out? It was like a clock that had all the Big 12 school logos on it, and Memphis was on there. And they're like, oh, this is going to be printed in the Tulsa newspaper next Monday because all the inviting. I guess I was hopeful, but I have said any movement is good for Memphis, and we are about to see movement, and I think that is good for Memphis. And I will just say, unless I found this out today, if you haven't checked this out, go check it out. But Dan Wetzel, Pat Forty, and Ross Dellinger have a podcast called College Football Inquirer, I think is what it is. They spent like their first 15 minutes today talking about this ordeal and basically justice for Memphis. They were very, very pro, much more so than TJ has been, pro Memphis joining the Big 12. Basically telling Yormick if he hadn't been here, he needs to get his ass here, have some barbecue, enjoy Bill Street, and take the Tigers to the Big 12 because they're in the middle of the SEC, fertile recruiting ground. They got a passionate city that supports their university like no other metropolitan school. Houston doesn't have the fan support that we have.
I agree.
They said even more so than Cincy. And
I question that one.
I wouldn't have said it myself, but since it's coming from national guys, I'm going to agree with them. We're a passionate bunch down here in the Bluff City.
Those are all fair statements. They just don't care about that. None of that matters to them.
Well, it should.
It's money. If it doesn't have a dollar sign and the dollar sign don't look great to them, they don't care. It's weird. I don't know why. None of that matters, but they just care about the dollar sign.
Well, it should. Anyway, I also learned from that podcast, and this would probably be the most Memphis thing that's ever happened to us in our lives. Did you know that Brett Yormick has speaking of twins, Kenny, an identical twin brother named Michael?
Is that who was in Memphis?
And that's what if all of this was around the fact that somebody saw Michael Yormick in Memphis and was like, holy shit, they're here. And it was his twin brother the whole time.
Just came to see Elvis.
And they sent College AD a picture. That's why they're so adamant. It was him at the rendezvous. And they're like, no, he's here. We've seen it. And it was freaking Michael Yormick the whole time. Would that not be the most Memphis thing ever?
That's a wild ride. What does he look like? Is it?
They are identical twins.
Let me look this dude up.
TJ, while you're looking that up, I have a question for you.
For me?
Yes.
Okay, what's up?
Because it feels like you might have been talking out both sides of your mouth for a second there. And I wanted to ask you this, okay?
Okay.
You mentioned a few minutes ago that all they care about is the money.
Sure.
And you also mentioned 30 minutes ago that your Mark, I don't even know how you say his name, is irrationally dedicated to bringing basketball, increasing the basketball in the Big 12.
Okay.
Which is not a financial driver for a big financial driver. It's football, and I don't know percentages wise. I know.
Sure, I'm with you.
Whatever. Is that not, do those things coexist for you? I mean, you said they're all about the money, but he clearly is dedicated to building up the basketball side of the Big 12, which is not a big economic driver in college sports. It's
not today, but I'm telling you, this dude is wild.
But it's also not all up to
10
him.
years down the road. Like, if in a world where college football and college basketball, like I talked about it with Trey, like the moment SEC and they do the Big 10 or the Big 2 or whatever you call it, This dude is going to have a college basketball program, a conference that's so top heavy that you can't exist and call yourself a championship without including those programs. So that's what I'm saying. Like, no matter what he does in terms of adding, if it's Memphis or UConn or Arizona or whoever, that program is going to be, it should, in theory, still be so strong in basketball because you're still going to have the Kansas brand. You've now added the UConn brand.
You've added the Memphis brand.
Maybe. And then they've talked about even adding Gonzaga. So, like, I'm telling you, it's wild to hear it. But I think
he has talked about, again, it's not all up to, like.
Correct. He has to take all this
The
to
university
the
presidents
ADs.
have to agree to this. And he's already gotten pushback on the whole basketball focus first.
Well, I think there's a happy medium there.
Which is the University of Memphis, because you get,
I would agree.
You scratch the basketball itch, again, without sacrificing the football side. Make it a campaign slogan. Can we get some merch, Kenny? Scratch your basketball itch without sacrificing football. The University of Memphis Tigers to the Big 12.
You probably could have cut it off at scratch your basketball itch.
There's a cream for that.
But no, my whole thing is like, yes, obviously football is the main driver today, and Memphis has a better product than UConn. San Diego State has a better product than UConn. So just add San Diego State and Memphis, boom, you win, right? It seems that simple, but UConn is such the powerhouse in basketball that you can't just write them off because of that. Even though basketball doesn't bring in the money, if you have UConn and Kansas together, that's bananas. That's like Duke, UNC type of stuff in terms of building two programs like that. So if that is what he really wants to do in terms of building this huge conference of college basketball and saying, look at the programs we have, look at these brands that we have, you can't you SEC, you Big Ten, you can't split off without us.
I don't think they would. I mean, you can't, to your point, you can't split basketball. Like, March Madness is so big.
I agree. I agree. But that's the thing is the Big Ten, the SEC are so much more powerful than any other conference.
In football.
In football, yes. Honestly, basketball, it kind of looks that way at times. I mean, Big Ten will have like 7 teams ranked, and they're all trash.
Yeah, and they put 8 in the tournament and 1 advances.
Yes, exactly. But my point is, I get what he's trying to do here in terms of building this super powerful brand, because you could never forget them. You could never write them off. They have to be attached to you at your hip because of these powerful brands that they have. So I think he is interested in the money, but there's a happy medium there. And I think that's Memphis' play here, is that they have a better football product than UConn does. UConn has been trash outside of that one bowl game in like 2007 where they were any good.
No, you weren't even really any good then. They were like 8-5
relatively
and
good,
made
yes.
the Orange Bowl or wherever they went.
It was like the Donald Brown running back year. Other than that, they've been...
All right, I'll put it on you this, and then we're going to a break. TJ, give me a percentage that Memphis gets an invitation to the Big 12.
Is there a timeline here?
No, just period.
This feels high, 25%.
That feels high.
Yeah, I don't think it's a 0. I don't think it's a 0, right? It's totally possible, but at the same time, it seems unlikely. But why we haven't done it yet?
Yeah,
what has changed by now? Because we're sinking some money into the stadium.
Well, yeah, you've shown an investment which wasn't previously there, but I will say
You know what solves all of that? Being in a conference and getting a shit ton of more money, you can fix everything. You could have probably built an on-campus stadium.
I mean, yes, and
The money. The moment you get into a Power 5 conference, the money fixes itself.
it does. But I think what they wanted to see from the university and the city was an investment in that program, and not somebody that's coming in and is going to be collecting a check and putting all that towards something else that's not the moneymaker.
It's fair.
To answer my own question that I just asked you.
You're going to say something stupid here, aren't you?
No. And I don't mean, I guess if you think it's stupid, I was going to say 50-50. And I'm not saying because it happens or it doesn't. I'm saying I truly feel like
I get it. 50-50. I get it.
It's a legitimately 50-50
Yeah,
shot.
Like 25 maybe actually kind of low, but I just don't feel
Kenny,
great.
he is all over the place.
No,
he just said
stand on something. Hey, let's do a keg stand. This is a keg stand. Stand on something,
He just
please.
said 25 was too high.
He
and
said
now
it's too high.
I was going to take it up to 30%.
And now he's saying it might be too low. Take a stand right now. Keg stand this.
No, my kickstand would be I don't feel great about it. I would say, I said 25. I'm going to bump it to 30 just for funsies. I think that's more my fandom coming in because I want to be in a bigger conference. I want the money because I think if Memphis has the money, then all these guys stay home. These local kids can stay home. That goes for football. That goes for basketball.
it would, and
It makes the biggest difference in the world.
right.
I'm not
And
going to
it's
say
not
his
just the
name on
kids,
Twitter.
Like John
who
Martin
said-
wrote an article about it. It would rejuvenate every, like
100%.
the big donors. Everybody would be so excited.
100%.
We are a sleeping, to our friend Charlie's words, we are a sleeping giant. You put us in there.
Something along the lines of being a sleeping giant. Yes, I agree. A sleeping giant?
Yeah. That thing wakes a troll. We wake a troll up.
I mean,
scary as hell.
There is a lot of football talent.
That
in
three-headed
this city.
dog in Harry Potter. I have been
That
on a
thing is
Harry
scary,
Potter.
man.
That's right, man.
stick the last 2 weeks.
That's right.
30% is my answer.
Okay, I'm going 50 right now. I will end it with this before we go to break. Even if we don't see a Big 12 invitation this summer, I don't think that Memphis is totally out. Because to your point, there could be some ACC leftovers.
Okay, I thought you meant with the Big 12.
I just meant in conference realignment altogether.
New question. If they skip over us again this time, are you still answering that call when they call back?
100%.
You are wild.
Bro, 50 mil is 50 mil. I don't care how many times it took.
You'd answer that
If
call
they-
too.
if
You would
they
answer
came
that
back
call. You would answer
2
that
years
call.
from now and called again, straight up said, we are ready to go. You are joining right now. You're not going to answer the call.
Of course he would answer the call.
They're not going to invite you. That's my whole point. They're going to keep dangling this carrot in front of you and they say, sorry, Toledo and Akron are coming in. We want the Ohio market. That's what's going to happen. Quit effing around with these guys and go hang out with the Magnificent Seven or whatever the hell they're
Well,
called.
by that point, you may already be there. So then, yeah, I would say you don't answer the
You've
call.
got-
But if you are still in the
go
same
hang out with
spot you're
Louisville.
currently in, yes, you answer the call every day. Every day.
At some point, they're going to have to grow a backbone here and just start talking to the ACC. Hey, we got some other options here, my man.
Well,
Shit or get
That
off the
may have
pot.
already been
Stop
happening.
calling us unless you actually want us because they clearly don't actually want us. This is like the third time we've done this. Like, what is happening? Why do you guys keep getting drug out?
third time's a charm.
Maybe.
Golly, TJ's
I
such
think-
a big talker.
But
You know that ain't. That ain't happening.
by the end of
I know it's not.
By the end of the month, we will know
Deep down
one
it's
way or
hot.
the other. Pac-12 should have a TV deal done, and we will know what is happening.
I think
that is.
You're spot on there.
I think this summer could be a big summer,
Yeah.
specifically the month of July.
I think July is what you got to think. These schools have like freaking balances and stuff that they got to put out. They got to start
They gotta
forecasting
balance-
stuff.
Yeah,
They got to know how much money we got, big dog.
yeah. You got to balance that budget. All right, let's go to break.
Yeah.
Bluff City NIL is an official partner with Coaching for Literacy, a nonprofit organization using the power of sports to impact childhood literacy. You can read more about them at coachingforliteracy.org or at Coaching for Literacy on social media platforms. Your donations to Bluff City NIL are 100% tax deductible because of our partnership together, so we thank you for supporting Memphis Tiger student athletes and helping promote the monumental cause that is childhood literacy. Tage, a little interesting. We've been talking about basketball and the importance, and you think that it is now the driver of all college athletics, which is absurd.
It's not what I said.
But I don't know if you saw it on the Twitter. Tony Altimore posted the top 20 NCAA men's basketball budgets from last season You know where the Tigs ranked in that?
You said it was top 20?
Top 20 teams.
7.
We were 18th, which is still impressive. Right ahead of Vanderbilt and Providence. The only American squad. He also has it broken down by conference averages. Do you want to take a guess at what the American Conference average is for spending? I will tell you we're at $13.7 million for the year that is fiscal year 22.
Like what our rank is?
No, what the average spending budget is for an American basketball team. If we're at 13.7 million, and we are the only American team in the top 20.
3 million.
That's not far off. 5.4, tied with the Atlantic 10, which is 7th overall.
I don't know if it's a good or bad thing to be tied with the A10.
We're not tied, just the conference.
I know the conference.
So
I know. That's what I'm saying.
I feel like that's kind of what you're stacked up against most of the time, though.
Sure.
Where's the Big 12?
The Big 12 is 2 spots ahead of us at 9.6 million average. But get this, Kenneth. There's only one Big 12 in the top. One other Big 12 team. Get that? We would be the second. Kansas at 15.5 million budget.
Where's UConn at?
We're spending like a Big 12
Where's
basketball
UConn
team.
at?
UConn, the national champion, is second at 24.1 million spending. Just behind Duke, who leads the nation at $28 million in basketball.
That's wild. That's wild. How much does Dane?
You want to take a guess at
Do you
the
know?
largest conference, this largest spending conference basketball-wise?
If Duke's number one, I say the ACC.
No, actually, they are third. It is the Big East. They average 13.5. They average what we spend. So we are actually spending like a Big East team.
Okay. How much does Dan Hurley make, you think? I'm just trying to rationalize 20-some million
Before
for
he won
UConn.
the title?
Yeah. Because I'm assuming it's only going to go up now, like Calipari money.
I don't know. What did Sampson just get, like $5 million a year? I'll say something like 4.5.
Y'all remember that YouTube clip that went around of Jim Calhoun when he was the coach at UConn and was getting blasted in a press conference about how much he made per year?
Yeah.
So fun. It was like, anyway, they spend a lot of money because they bring in a lot of money
They
to
do.
Sure.
Connecticut.
yes.
Okay.
Which is why they should be in the Big 12.
TJ,
I
do
know.
you have
We
a
just talked
guess
about
on Dan Hurley's salary?
it. $4 million sounds.
No, it is 2.9 currently.
It's going to be much higher than
I
that.
think it will probably double.
Much higher than that. I would say 6.
Wouldn't you think?
I think they jumps to 6.
Yeah.
You lock that down. Especially with Cal being on
Probably
the
so.
fence.
I have heard this back. We are all about conference realignment today. I have heard that Dan Hurley has even told his administration at UConn that if they join the Big 12, he's deucing out.
That's not true.
Okay,
You
I am
just made that
I did
up.
not make it up, TJ. I will.
You can't
find
just
it and
make up
I
stuff
did
like
not
this.
make it up, Timothy. That is factual and it makes sense. Why would Dan want to be in the Big 12? Anyway,
Sounds a lot like the Jaws camp saying it was a toy gun kind of report. That's what that sounds like.
well, it's not my report. I'm just telling you what I heard.
Did you, not to totally change subjects, but how ridiculous was it that so many national media ran with some podcaster coming out and saying, I've heard sources say that Jaws camp said it was a toy gun. And they went with it like it was a real thing. Anyway.
I mean, let's like,
Headlines. That's all they care about, dude.
what's an NBA superstar doing waving around a toy gun?
Well, who carries around a toy gun?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know. Anyway, thoughts on that spending?
It's a lot more than I thought we spent.
It is a lot more than I thought as well. And
I said 7 just to like throw out a wild number because I was like, I don't know where we'd fall on that. 7 obviously.
I'm just
is
gonna say
stupid now
this.
I think about it, but
you're the number one spending team in your conference, and you were spending almost 3 times as much as your conference average. You better be winning that conference. All the
yeah, I
time.
would say, how does that make you feel though, with one conference championship?
Houston not even on the list. They're doing a lot more with a little. It's
culture, baby. Culture.
It is culture. And that doesn't include NIL or anything. I mean, that's
Yeah.
coaches' salaries. That's travel. I I mean, they charter in that Hillwood plane. That's a pretty penny. It's a good-looking plane.
A pretty penny, man.
I didn't even do that intentionally.
Yeah, that's a lot, man. What was it, 13?
13 and a half.
Wow.
We spending them dollars.
What do you think they're spending that on?
I just told you. Salaries.
Well, I know,
travel.
but do you have it broken? Does it break it down?
It doesn't break it down, unfortunately.
Okay. Because Penny isn't making that much money. And in the grand scheme of things.
He's not.
So is it split up to staff and then
I think it includes all staff. I mean, everything that they're
recruiting.
Right. He's got that jet.
Sick ass Penny.
He's got that.
That party bus.
Yeah.
That thing's probably paid for already.
What is that thing called? What are they called? The vans.
Sprinter van.
Sprinter van.
Yeah.
That thing is custom as hell.
It is nice.
You remember Pimp My Ride?
Yeah, dude.
I think that Sprinter van was from Pimp My Ride. How ridiculous was Pimp My Ride? Dude, they used to put like a hot tub in the back of somebody's trunk.
A fish tank.
Full of water, and then act like that dude was about to drive home with 50 gallons of water in his trunk.
It's like the boat. You got to let out the water.
Anyway, all right. Not a whole lot of basketball talk.
No.
Portal's dead. Interesting addition this week. Don't know if we're going to reach out, but Jordan Brown, Louisiana Lafayette, but he's on his 15th school. So I don't know if you want to touch that, because even if he's graduated, I've seen some reports that there could be eligibility issues, but I wouldn't hate it. And you know, I made a little sausage adding him.
You have to.
You throw a little Jordan Brown in your sausage with a little DeAndre, 13th in the nation.
Okay. Yeah, I'm with you, though. I don't think that's someone they're going to reach out to. It just doesn't, it's not one of those things. I know there's like an ongoing joke on Twitter that if someone hits the portal, Memphis and Arkansas are going to reach out.
Well, Arkansas is definitely reaching out, because one of his first stops was with the Must Bus in Nevada.
Okay.
That was his.
Okay.
Started at Nevada, went to Arizona, was at Louisiana Lafayette, and now he is looking for his fourth team.
So Arkansas actually may reach out in this instance.
Speaking of going coast to coast,
they've missed out on a lot.
Jordan Brown is coast to coast with his collegiate career.
He'll probably end up in the Big 12 then.
Maybe he's going to UConn.
Yeah, I don't see that one happening. I think we generally know where we're at with the roster. You have the one scholarship. It's one, right? Just one scholarship that's open right now?
One or two, depending on who you ask.
Okay. I think it's just one with the
Or
option
two,
of a second
depending
one.
on who you ask.
Because I made that recommendation months ago, and everyone said I was a jackass for it.
Well, I think it's because you said both of them.
Well, sorry, it's more strategic that way.
Anyway.
So I think you wait. You got to hear back on the DeAndre thing. I think we said before.
Dude, I'll throw this out there. Do we hear about the Big 12, or do we hear about DeAndre first?
Big 12.
Really?
Yeah, I think that DeAndre thing's going up against the trip.
Which 12 do we hear about first? Big 12 or DeAndre, because he wears 12?
No, you hear about the Big 12. I think
It's the summer of 12.
Or Ja Morant's suspension.
Or, wow.
John Morant's suspension goes
The
first.
trip 12.
The trip 12, the parlay.
It'll definitely be Ja's suspension in that case,
then
since
Big
the
12,
NBA
then
Finals
DeAndre.
ended tonight.
They could be live right now. I have no clue.
All right. Football. Another Twitter find here, Tej. College Football Alerts on Twitter is posting currently their top 100 college football teams for next season. They released part 3, which is teams 26 through 50. They're counting down to 1. Memphis, 50th on the list,
I saw that.
which is a couple spots higher than I think ESPN's FPI has them. But the interesting part to note here, the only team that is ahead of them on their schedule or in the American Conference is Tulane, who they have 27th. But notable, they've got Missouri, Boise, East Carolina, who's not on the schedule per se.
Sure.
UTSA, who's also, that could be a conference championship matchup, maybe, but all ranked behind Memphis. You think that's accurate?
Oh, I mean,
I think it could be accurate, but it seems a little
no, I think that's pretty accurate.
ambitious right now.
The only one that I would question is UTSA because although they kind of lost some players.
Yeah, but when you're bringing back your
16th year quarterback, I think that matters so much.
Yeah.
Your coach is still there. Looks like they have UTSA at, what number is that? 59? Seems a little
9
low.
spots back.
I definitely thought UTSA was going to be a team that was ranked higher than Memphis. Memphis kind of lost a lot.
I mean, I would have thought SMU would have been higher too, given the portal work that they've done.
And they have racked up portal. People love Lashley for some odd reason. They think that he is great. Their quarterback's gone. So
We dropped the age when we came over from Ireland. Oh, Lashley.
I see what you're saying. I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Yeah. People are super high on him. And to not see them ahead of us is a little surprising. Mostly, I would say, due to the portal work that they've been doing. So, no, I like it. I think 50 is probably a good number. I think I probably would have said 55 if you just blindly asked me.
Let me get this hot take. I know you're a big Michael Pratt fan. You think Tulane you think 27 is accurate?
No.
You think they're going to have a down year?
Yeah.
Comeback.
I think that 27.
A little bit of comeback down to reality for the Green Wave.
Yeah. They're I get why they're 27. They had a really good year last year, but a lot of those guys are gone, right?
Yeah.
Tajay Spears gone. The 3 dudes on defense that were incredible gone. So, I mean, they did have a couple of draft
A lot of
picks.
coaching staff gone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what we're going to see next year from them outside of Michael Pratt, just being Michael Pratt and just making things happen, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think people sleep on how important Tajay was for that team. Like, so important because he takes all the pressure off of those receivers and Michael Pratt himself. Because you can hand the ball off to him, and that's a guy that's going to get you 5 yards to carry no matter what. And then defense start to creep up after Spears takes on his 20th carry, and then someone's burning deep. Lawrence Keys or whoever it was burning someone deep for a big pass over the top. So, like, they just had so many different weapons and the way they could utilize them. But all those dudes are essentially gone now. They have Ole Miss hella early on in the schedule. I imagine they're going to get crushed in that one.
Crushed?
Yeah, I think they get crushed.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take Priestcorn first tutty in that game, don't you?
I think that's the role.
Yeah.
So
If you had to pick a top 3 American Conference finishing in football today, what would it be?
I'm trying to think.
I don't believe the SMU hype. I don't, in no particular order, I'll say,
Oh, no order?
yeah, just who are the top 3 teams? I'd say Tulane, UTSA, and Memphis
I'll say
because I'm not buying the SMU hype.
I'm going to go. I think SMU is going to be higher than UTSA, but
Really?
I think it's because of the portal work. They're just bringing too much talent. But yeah, SMU, Memphis, Tulane, those 3. So we're just one team off. I mean,
Yeah.
we were saying Tulane's going to have a bad year. I mean, they just went 12-1.
Yeah. I mean,
Whatever
I
it
didn't
was.
say that.
You don't think they're going to have a bad year?
I mean, I think they will have a
But they're gonna
comeback
yeah,
down. but
sure, it'll come down. 8 wins, maybe.
I'm not going to sit here and call them fraudulent like I called Houston.
Wow.
That's for sure.
Wow.
I mean, they played some teams last year. Houston literally played no one the year that they went 11-2 or whatever it was.
Yeah, but they played some teams and they lost a lot of those guys. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Like,
but I'm not going to call them fraudulent.
I think they're about an 8-win team, and I'm sure someone on Twitter will find that and they'll come at me because that's how Tulane Twitter is. But
I could see it. All right, Teach, let's get in this Proud Mary and get you home.
yeah, man, it's a cool can. I like this can. It's obviously it says Riverboat Queen. Is that the name of that?
I don't think that's what the riverboat is, but Kenny, do you know the name of the riverboat?
It has a name.
Yeah, isn't it what is it?
Mississippi Queen.
Mississippi Queen. That's
feels
what
right.
it is. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah,
I guess-
they probably couldn't use that.
Yeah, I guess
for-
they can't say it. It just says Riverboat Queen.
I mean, that's clearly what it is, though. No, I've liked these cans too. We've talked about it, all named after records. They got the record on the side. Very Memphis themed here. The Proud Mary Riverboat down the Mississippi. You got the skyline back there. It's a good can.
It is a good can.
You got the I didn't even realize the M Bridge.
The M Bridge is definitely back
We've been
there.
having a lot of bridge trouble the last couple of weeks. You notice that?
I mean, there was like person who
But there wasn't a person.
Yeah, that wasn't. The person that wasn't.
Wait, what?
There was a
Did you not see that the other day? They shut down the bridge because
Someone went underneath the bridge, right?
TDOT said there was no one there.
They found no one.
They shut the bridge down, went to go look, and could not. So there could have been someone there, and they
Went
were
swimming.
no longer there, or nobody was ever down there. But there's also been multiple times that the bridge has been closed. Memorial Day weekend, we were coming back. There was a horrible wreck, closed the I-40 bridge. Yesterday, we were coming back from the lake. I-55 bridge was closed, which made traffic on the
Super
I-40
inconvenient.
bridge horrible. There's just been a lot of bridge trouble. I think it's time for a third bridge.
A North Loop
Yeah.
Bridge.
Just a mid loop. Put one right in between the two.
That sounds awful.
Just get a third bridge in there.
Incoming traffic on Riverside Drive, right through Tom Lee.
Yeah.
No, man. Cool can. I'm going to give it, I'll go straight into it. I like this can. I'm going to say like a 7.4. I like the colors. I like the buildings in the background. Can you guys see this? Pretty cool little can. And I like the Proud Mary theme, all the naming conventions that they have.
I love the Soul and Spirits namings. Wow, I didn't. Oof. I'm going to have to go down. I just saw what the alcohol
Yeah,
content.
that goes into the beer play, not into the can.
I know, but I just saw it. Can 7.2 feels good. What'd you give it?
7.3.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It's a good can, not a great can. Very solid can. Beer-wise, I did enjoy it, but I am currently deducting points in my head because I just saw the alcohol volume is 2.9%.
This is water.
Last week, we had the highest alcohol
Is
content
this right?
beer,
This is a typo.
which is
So could y'all taste the difference in that though?
nearly 4 times the amount. Oh, yeah.
You could you
When
could
you're
tell,
talking about 8.5 versus 2.9,
That's why I'm surprised that y'all are surprised that you could you taste that the alcohol is not as high in that one as
I mean,
last
now that I
week's.
know and I tasted it, yeah, but just drinking it, no.
No.
I wouldn't have been like, this is a below 3%.
Dang, it really is 2.9.
What, you thought it was a misprint on the
Yeah,
can?
I thought
You
they
had go
lied
the
to us or
computer?
something. I went and looked it up just for funsies.
It was, it's good. I do like a hazy IPA.
James, boy.
I mean, it's crushable.
That's the problem. Is the beer itself is good. The problem is it's only 2.9%. So it's like, what am I doing here? It's just for fun, just for flavor. I guess that's fair. We're not trying to get drunk on the show.
Yeah,
so
that's
like,
true.
What are we talking about? This is for
It
fun
is
and
good.
flavor.
It feels mid-7s. I'm going to go like 7.4.
Unfortunately, I'm going to copycat. I think it's a 7.3. I think it matches the can score.
That's what I was starting to say. I was going to say, I don't want to give the can and the beer the same
This has
score.
happened before. I forgot what the beer was. It's
I was
good.
going to say 7.2, but then I was like, I'll just bump it up a little bit. I'll go 7.4.
It's a good beer. It's very drinkable. It's good flavor. But at the same time, that 2.9%, it's hard for me to give you
I
much.
mean, if you're
love.
not trying to get like buck wild, it's a great, just maybe at dinner, have a Proud Mary. You'll be fine.
This is what we do. This is a beer we slow play Christian into. We give this Christian 2.9%.
That's right.
This is a perfect Christian beer.
This would be a great Christian beer.
By the way, Christian was talking a gang of stuff about y'all yesterday and on the Bluff.
What?
What does that mean?
Just talking about the Seth Hennigan, Joe Milton
Bro, that wasn't
conversation.
even our. We
just-
just referenced a publication.
That was on our list.
I haven't watched Joe Milton since 2016.
Hell, I said Joe Milton was going to be number 1 on the list.
You did. To TJ's credit, he's guessed that Joe Milton would have been listed number 1.
So there was quite a bit of
I don't know. Was Joe Milton ever a freshman All-American?
No, because I think he was.
Interesting.
There was quite a bit of interaction this week on y'all's show, guys. There was some y'all really spurned quite a bit of heat coming y'all's way from y'all's topics last week. What do y'all have to say about this?
I don't know why.
It's all
It's
hot
just-
takes TJ, wet blanket man over there.
Well, no, this is Bluff City Media. This isn't everything is a damn hill, Knoxville, Tennessee. Like we don't cover UT here. I don't understand the issue.
Yeah, I mean, the show is Tigers Untapped. we're pretty exclusively
What do we?
the University of Memphis. I
Look
mean,
at
we
our
don't
clothes.
even we don't even talk Grizzlies or anything else, which at times can be difficult for the show.
Can.
Well, somebody
But we
called
have-
y'all a happy hour show. What are y'all's thoughts on that? Like, that y'all need to be more insightful and not happy hour.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I just went off a
mean,
list
this
of
is-
Nielsen ratings, and Trey called me an idiot for it. So you can't go off too analytical. You can't get too analytical and too factual.
'Tis the season, right? We get into games. Oh, we'll give you our analysis and thoughts. We're in the off season, baby.
Yeah, I mean,
TJ and I are drinking beers and chatting it up.
what are we talking about? It's not a UT show. Like,
Grab you a beer, sit down,
Enjoy.
type in the comments.
Yeah.
Let's have some fun.
I loved it. I love the comments. I think you guys are killing it. And even if TJ's making some super dumbass hot takes, then I mean it is what it is. He said Tulane was better than Memphis in basketball.
that's not what I said.
Hey, Kenny, when you go back, do a rewind, and literally play the snippet because you won. I know you have come back and said that's not what, but your verbatim was, you want a hot take?
Hot take.
Tulane is going to be ranked ahead of Memphis. That is exactly what you said. You've gone since,
But
and
I
said-
didn't say.
You said Tulane specifically. You've gone back and said Memphis will be picked third. It could be anybody. But your original hot take was, you want a hot take? Tulane will be ranked ahead of Memphis.
That's
what
fine.
you said.
But my point was that's not TJ's feelings. That is what voters will say. That
That's
was
not
the whole
how you
argument.
worded it in your hot take.
The whole argument was about what voters would say. I said Tulane's going to be ranked higher.
Well,
than
I
Memphis.
don't know what you just went off the cuff. Said you want a hot take. Tulane's going to be ranked ahead of Memphis. That's
The
all I was
whole
going by.
thing was about what voters would say. Even in that, I said, again, this is not my opinion. This is not TJ's opinion. This is what voters would say. And you're like, who's saying that? And I said, the voters, the AP poll,
And then I said, okay,
and the
that's
coaches.
fine.
Yes, so it was understood that this was not my opinion, and that I was saying what I could see the voters saying.
I might have sabotaged you a little
You
bit on that clip.
100% did.
I
So
listen,
many people came at me over
I was
that.
feeling pretty saucy with the clips last week from the Tigers Untapped show. Y'all got some heat about the Joe Milton, Seth Hennigan stuff. That was my fault. You got some heat about the Tulane and I hyped it up, and I want to reiterate that I love y'all's show, and I think your hot takes are awesome.
Here's the problem. Kenny's going to put a snippy of this week's show. I already see it. It's going to say, TJ says
Yep.
0% chance that Memphis gets in the Big 12. But what you don't see is there's a 3 before it that's like a font 1. So you can't even see that 3. It's just going to look like a big-ass 0. And then you actually go look at it. It's like, oh, it says 30%. And if you highlight it and copy it and paste it, you'll see it says 30%.
He'll put it. It's invisible. It'll just say .0%.
.0.
Exactly. How low does TJ rank the chance? It'll be some
TJ says
manipulative-
Memphis is not getting into a bigger conference.
That is essentially what I said.
TJ says
there,
Memphis athletics is screwed forever.
but- No, I didn't say that one. That's a stretch too. Let's get out of here before you guys get me arrested, dude.
All right. Come next week, the cold beer. Stay for the hot takes. All of TJ's hot takes. Peace.
If you enjoyed this episode of Tigers Untapped, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Like and subscribe at Bluff City Media's YouTube page. Head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co for comprehensive coverage of Memphis sports.